Hey guys, good morning, good weekend. Hope you're all doing okay. Hope everybody's scheduled for their vaccine or has gotten one. Markus, how's everything with you?
Are you kidding? I'm living in Germany, man. Good morning to you. No, I did not get a vaccination yet. The good news is for my family that my aunt and my uncle got their vaccination yesterday, and according to what they told me, they have no bad outcomes, bad results from it. My aunt had a little bit of headache yesterday in the evening, but that's it so far. Everything is good here. And I'm still waiting to get my vaccination. Maybe it takes only 2 or 3 more years. Then I get it because we, as I said, last week, we are living in Germany and the bureaucracy is the most important thing we have. And yeah, this is why it all delayed. You know. But first of all, I would like to welcome everybody to our show today. And I would like to say hello to Barbara, to Melissa, to Esley Mercer, to Jilly Love, David Crow, Juliet Nickel. Hey, how are you guys? I hope you have a nice weekend. Well, Amos, would you like to start with the open chat option we are offering and explain a little bit about it and invite the guys?
Yes, before that, I'll just tell you, I also got my Moderna vaccine yesterday. I'm
Oh, sorry,
feeling
yeah, of
fine.
course.
Yeah, I'm feeling fine, and I was quite impressed actually with the operation there. It was in a closed up Sears store in a mall, and everything was so organized with German precision. It was they had a row of people processing everybody, and then another station where they were directing everyone to giving them leaflets based on whether they're coming for the first or second time, and then there was the booth where they were giving the injection. It was quite an operation. It was like 50 stations or so, and it flowed seamlessly. I got within 10 to 15 minutes. I was done.
Okay, that's cool. My uncle, my aunt, told me it was in our arena where our football team is used to play. And it took them about 45 minutes. As you told, you got to pass several stations where they are taking your temperature and stuff, and well, and I heard that you got the German American stuff, right? The German
That's
American
correct.
vaccination in
Yeah.
your veins running now, and well, it is. For here in Germany, the vaccinations are in parts are very criticized. We know about AstraZeneca, what happened before, that it was in discussion. Johnson and Johnson, I think, is in America in discussion, but yeah, I think the most important thing is that it starts because you cannot cage the people in anymore. Here in Germany, the protests are going on this weekend, and in parts it is understandable, because it seems that our German government is going to decide that we will have a complete lockout at night, that nobody is allowed to leave the houses anymore. And if you look at the latest reports coming from virologues who say it is absolutely ridiculous to keep the people away from the outside, because that's exactly the place where it is, if you are not gathered in big crowds, it is a place to be, not to get infected, and well, people are protesting here in Germany, and it's a pretty mess regarding the elections, the big elections we have in fall. Everyone is trying to profile to be a little bit different from the other politicians, and it all costs, precious time. Our hospitals are filling. We are going over to the so-called soft. I don't know the American expression, triage. I don't know if you have the same expression. Yeah, we are already at that point. That the intensive care is close to collapse. And
That's
well,
terrible. Yeah, that's the biggest fear.
yes, exactly.
And frankly, with all the variants that are popping up now, there's a one in California. There's a bunch of them, and the rate that this virus mutates is unlike other epidemics
Yes.
in the recent past, and that's cause of concern.
Yeah, and look, it is explainable, and a big part of it is globalization, because our connections are getting closer and closer. If you look 100 years back when we had the so-called Spanish influenza, right? It cost many millions lives, but if you would imagine it would be today, it would be a body count which is unimaginable in comparison, and
Yeah. And
well,
the other thing is, like Melissa is right, we don't know how long the immune system is keeping
exactly.
immune from these, and we don't know what range of variants it is. They're already talking about a booster. They know that people who've had COVID have gotten a second COVID infection, sometimes a different strand. But yeah, I don't see us going back into normal in the near future. I think it's going to take more time than people would like to think, but that's unfortunate. It is what it is.
Yes. It's even more unfortunate as we are living in a capitalistic system, which also wants to fulfill his rights, in quotation marks.
What worries me is also I've heard Noel on like their podcast. There are definitely a bunch of progressives that are oddly completely synced with the far right conspiracy theory notions that are going around, saying how the vaccine is a huge risk and you shouldn't take it, and it's a bad idea. But it's funny because those same people were the ones saying how the virus was a little
a flu.
It wasn't an issue at all, and that statistically is much higher effect than the vaccine in terms of the side effects that have been so far detected. So it is what it is. People are
and you're right. And if you look at the bullshit, guys like Tucker Carlson are spreading, and look at the millions of viewers he has, and it makes it definitely not easier to get the people vaccinated. And as you mentioned before, the mutations. Look at what's going on in Brazil. There is no vaccination helping against this mutation. And well, good luck to us.
Yeah, good luck.
Anyway.
Yep. All right.
Let's have a look at. Oh no! Now you're into the game with the open chat.
All right. So we're gonna try the open chat again. If any of you would like to join us at the two last segments of the program, you're welcome to join us. I'll post the link in the chat close to that time. What you do have to do is definitely let's start from the last one. You have to mute YouTube, otherwise you'll get the audio feedback like a minute after we've actually spoken, so you're gonna get all confused. So you have to mute YouTube. You have to just tune in through Zoom. If you can, have a decent light and some headphones so we don't hear the feedback from your speakers, even though there are some mechanisms that are supposed to remove that artifact. And if you have a mic, that's even better. And we'll post it again. We'll post a Zoom link closer to the end of the show. All right. Should we talk about the card and our content?
Yes. Please talk about the card. Absolutely great card. Amos did it for the show, and when I opened it yesterday and I wanted to start to collect the stuff I had for this prepared for today, it is funny, and it's absolutely tragic. It's cynical. It is so much, and Amos, great work with the card, though the topic is
disturbing. Yeah.
Is disturbing, and it's crazy, it's fucking crazy.
Yeah, but we're in the Wild West kind of atmosphere, so I That was fitting.
The ones one part of the population is more into the Wild West than the other, you know. Or to say different, you know, there's one part of the population behind the trigger, you know, and the other one is standing, you know where.
Yeah. Melissa, don't worry about the earphones. If you need to just lower your volume a little bit, I think we'll do all right. We'll try.
All right.
So, our topics for today. First, Markus is going to talk about police. Defund, destroy, rebuild. What are we doing with the police? What should we do with the police? Then we have talk about Afghanistan, because Biden has pledged to take the U.S. forces out by September 11, whatever happens. We'll talk whether that's good, that's bad, whatever. Then we have May the Rock help us all. And that's a little bit of a surprise. That's going to be a fun discussion. And finally, Sinema and Manchin openly corrupt. And we'll talk about their accepting money from various factions. Of course, we'll have the cartoons and the shortcuts at the end, where hopefully you'll join us. Markus, so you want to launch with the first?
I will, if you can change back perfectly. Yes. Yeah. In this week, we learned a lot. We saw a lot of tragedy. We saw a lot of things which are not understandable. You know, if you approach all this with logic and dignity, in my opinion. It started already in last December, you know, when this came up this week, because the guy in this video, an army lieutenant, sued, I think it was Winston in Virginia. And here is, in short, I don't have the complete video. Everyone who wants to watch it should go and look it up. I'm not sure about the copyright infringement and stuff, so we are showing only a short portion of it. But I think it speaks for itself. And before we go on, please run it, Amos.
Treat a vet. I'm actively serving this country, and this is how you're gonna treat me? Back up, Daniel. I didn't do anything. Whoa, hold on. Back What's up. Going? Hold on. Watch it. Air Force deployed. Get out of the car. Get out of the car now. Up. Car now. Sir, just get out of the car. I'm trying to breathe. Get out of the car now! That's up. That's really up. Yeah, get out of the car and get on the ground now. You're gonna get it again. I don't even want to reach my seatbelt. Can you take your seatbelt off and get out of the car? Can you please get out of the car now? Listen, take off your seatbelt and get out of the car. Look, I'm just gonna please. You're gonna do as you're told. Get out of the car. Look. Take your seatbelt off and get out of the... Look. Take your seatbelt off. Look, my hands are out. Take your seatbelt off and get out of the car. My hands are out. Don't reach in there, Daniel. Don't reach in there. My hands are out.
Yes, it goes on, and he is handcuffed and putting on the ground, and it was an absolutely humiliating scene to watch, and it is in this part we've seen. I think it shows the complete absurdity of the approach of the police. You know, you cannot pepper spray a guy, you know, and then expect him to get off his car. You know, this guy has to deal with other stuff in his eyes at this very moment. And of course, you know, I would be, when I'm met with so much aggression from police, as a black man, I can imagine that I would be very, very careful to put my hands anywhere than where they can see it, right? It could be taken as a hint for them, you know, that he is grabbing for a weapon, and you know, I can understand. Exactly. I can absolutely understand that he is completely afraid to move his hands from the windows, you know, and It is an absolutely crazy scene, and the only good news in it is that this guy is suing the police department. The place was Winchester, if I remember right. He's suing them for $1 million, and I honestly hope he gets it. But it doesn't solve a problem, because who is paying the money?
Exactly.
Who's
paying
the money?
It doesn't come off the police. It gets
the taxpayer.
Exactly.
And there it must go. If you have such misbehavior or disbehavior, while being an official servant of your community, it definitely should go to the police funds. And then I think maybe they are thinking twice, if they can risk, that there is taking money from the pensions funds or from somewhere else, but not the taxpayers. I don't know where the solution lies, but the fact is, this guy, the older policeman, is fired, which is absolutely no solution, because he is traveling. He's moving one place further, and there he gets another job. And those guys normally, as I know, stay in the business, in the police business. Be it there or elsewhere. And it is unacceptable to see those things, in my opinion. Right, Amos? What is your take? What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. It's not a solution where it's always like that. They get a settlement, they pay something, and it's not them paying that. It's not coming out of their pockets. It's coming out of ours. So it's not a retribution. It's not there's no punishment in that whatsoever. But I saw Gilly said that it's karma because it's like this guy, that's how he treated people overseas, and now he's being treated that way. I don't see it that way at all. I don't think that you could conclude that necessarily that he had done anything like that, and it's not. I don't see it at all that way. But
I don't think that a general suspect is a valid point in this, But on the other hand, you got to see what kind of groups are attracted, mainly to go to the police. I think here's a study in Germany, and it shows clearly that it's mostly conservative thinking people, who are going to the police. You don't find less left-wing oriented or progressive people in the police. So per se, you got a certain population overrepresented in this profession, And this is another thing which has to be discussed in this point. But let's see what the reaction of the police chief of Windsor was, and when being asked, if he should apologize to Lieutenant NAZARIO, he said, "I don't believe so." And he goes even further, making excuses, and he says, "At the end of the day, I'm glad that nobody got hurt, that the situation ended the best way it could have. I wish he would have complied a whole lot earlier." Bullshit, and then he goes on, "I'm going to own what we did wrong." He's not. My guys miss opportunities to verbally de-escalate that thing and change the outcome. I think there was no opportunity from the beginning. They started to go aggressively on him at the beginning, right at the beginning. And there's another excuse from the police chief. He says, "We are a small community. We are 2,600 people, and we know just about everybody here. That's why we have good relationship within our community itself. Is our ability to interact with people." And then I think this is the worst excuse that was destroyed by the social media posting, the media coverage of the incident. Now he is blaming that the incident became public because it hurts the reputation of the community. Really? I mean, this is ridiculous, right? But it shows exactly the point of view, the status quo. He is taken for granted, right? That he is a white police officer, you know, and everything has to go according what the white community or he as a representative says. Amos.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Let's move over to the to the crazy killing of DAUNTE, WRIGHT. You know, let's show the video first, Amos. It's a little bit muted at the beginning. What we're seeing here is the body cam. They're trying to handcuff him now. Yeah, and now he's trying to escape. What is it? Well, I don't know. In this stressful situation, this can happen, and especially in America for black men. But it is, in this case, a stupid thing you can do. But there he was already shot, and he crashed into another car, and he died. And if you look why. In the first place, why they stopped him, he missed an appointment at court, as I know, and there was another thing. I think this is nothing dramatic, you know. He didn't rob a bank, he didn't kill another guy. They know where he lived. I don't know that it is necessary to shoot at someone, you know. And then, of course, there comes the next excuse, you know. If you can go on and go to slide 11. And this is the excuses get more and more ridiculous, in my opinion. You know, and there's a police woman who shot the poor man, and he was yelling taser and is shooting her actually gun at him, and it is crazy that she is telling it was a mistake. You know, that the white woman mistook a handgun for a taser. And then let's quickly jump over to what someone who is living on this earth since the dinosaurs were walking on it. Even Pat Robertson, play this, please.
There's just no comparison. As I say, they're not making tasers in this yellow color anymore. They're making they're in black. They're making them yellow. Now, how she made the difference was she shot that poor guy to death, saying, "This is what I thought. This is what I thought was my taser." And if you can't tell the difference in the feel of those things, it's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and one other thing to mention is that they noticeably, I mean, they've thought about these things, and they have the gun on the dominant side in the holster, and the taser on the left side, on the other, on the non-dominant side. And so you would have to reach over across your body to grab the other one in order to use it. So there's the color, there's the shape, there's the weight of it, and of course there's the placement, and all of these things. Not to mention that the unlatching, when you're using a weapon, you have to unlatch the weapon. So it's a different mechanism. So it's harder to do. If somebody can mistake that, that's a serious problem with training or with the person.
Exactly. It shows exactly. Even if we say in dubio pro reo, right? That in the matter of doubt, you know, that she really mistook this, then she is definitely, as you said, she's definitely the wrong person in this business. Definitely. You know, she's either colorblind and she doesn't know the mechanisms of the two different guns. It is absolutely crazy, you know. But the thing is, you know, it mostly, or every time it happens to black people or brown people. You know, I saw a video the other day when there was a black man walking in a community on a sidewalk where he was harassed by an army sergeant, you know, and he was pushed and stuff, you know, and it was exactly the cliche, you know, the white man, you know, who barks his commands, you know, and the black man, you know, it's like centuries ago. It's crazy, you know, and the self-understanding, you know, that they have the permission to do this, to act like this, not to talk about the dignity and humanity, you know, the missing of it, you know, and they are coming with it's every time it's an excuse, right? It's ridiculous. And then it happened on Thursday night. Adam Toledo, a 13-year-old brown boy, you know, he has Mexican origins, as I read, you know. This case is a little bit is more obscure than the others, you know, because apparently there was a weapon in it. We will show the video in a second, but it doesn't change. It's a 13-year-old boy, for God's sake, right? And please show it. It's a longer version. It shows a little bit of
the moments leading up to the death of 13-year-old Adam Toledo at the hands of a Chicago police officer unfold.
Please stop! Stop! Like
This morning, Chicago police invited the media to view their edited video compilation of the events that led up to the fatal shooting. Reporters were not allowed to ask questions, and our cameras weren't allowed to record. It starts with a few seconds of security camera video from a nearby church showing the teen walking down the street with a male adult. It happened around 2:30 a.m. during the early morning hours of March 29th in the city's Little Village neighborhood. Another surveillance camera from nearby school captures what appears to be the man Adam was with firing off at least 8 rounds from a gun. A red arrow points to the duo. In the next clip, you can see and hear the officer who shot the teen chasing him down the alley. Video showing Adam stopping near a fence includes a grainy, magnified freeze frame. CPD used a red arrow to highlight what appears to be a gun in the teen's right hand.
Hey, show me your head!
When Adam moves his right hand toward the officer fires one shot. The teen falls to the ground. Stills of the scene include a recovered handgun. Police officials have had very little to say about the ongoing investigation, but they do add from the time a gun was seen until the time the officer fired was just 838 milliseconds, less than 1 second for the incident to turn deadly.
Yeah. Now we're going into the milliseconds. Well, and yeah, and there was, I think, someone said in the chat that he was not pointing with the gun at the policeman. I don't know, stressful situations and stuff, you know. But it is, I think, the training and the people. The training is bad, mostly. I think the people who are in the police.
And this is a situation where I would have deployed probably a taser rather than a gun. And again, like, you know, even in the worst of situations, they don't have to shoot them in their upper body.
In the chest. Why? Why in the chest?
Right.
Maybe it's an unwritten, unspoken permission, you know, to use overly violence against a certain group of population in the US. I don't know, Amos. I'm not living there, you know, but it's always the same, you know. And I don't know if I remember back how many times John and I were talking about this, and you guys remember how John was raging about the police always, you know. He was also helpless and desperate, and he was fucking angry about what all happened, you know. I think meanwhile, I see myself, you know, seeing this in regular periods popping up, you know. It makes me more and more cynical about it, you know, because in the end, what's going on in the end, if you look at it in a very cynical way, you know, it's the same circle again, you know. Something happened, people are angry, people mourn.
Yeah.
Another week goes by, you know, something else happens, it's forgotten, another incident appears, and the same circle goes on and on and on and on, and nothing really changes, you know. And it's crazy because there are so many unlived lives, you know, and they are ended because of unwillingness to change it substantially, you know. And this is why I came up to the title, you know, that you should defund the police. You should defund, and I wanna go into details what I mean. In my opinion, you should. Yeah, please.
Yeah, Markus, before you do, I just wanted to address Julie's thing. She believes that the videos were edited. We had the discussion before the show, Markus and I. We're kind of concluded that it's highly unlikely that all these different things and having to plant a weapon with an ID or whatever it is, it's a lot to make such a conspiracy. So we're not under the belief that there was a conspiracy. We were concerned with the fact that it was a 13-year-old that was hit here. And when I say use a taser, I'm not necessarily saying that they should have used a taser. I'm saying that they should have run after him with a drone taser rather than a drone gun. Because even if the worst of situations, you don't want to kill a kid for whatever it is, but to be able to stop him from shooting at the police.
I got what you mean. You know, it's the question of means. You know, what do you want? What is, you know, as a policeman, you should be careful. You know, that you prevent a crime. You know, maybe you get someone who is criminal. You know, but you should not necessarily kill him. You know. It is not, as your card said, it's not the Wild West. It is not a wanted, you know, dead or alive. But this is exactly what we are seeing here, you know.
Yeah.
And this is why, and this is exactly what you know. Coming back to Jilly, you know, I don't think, you know, that it was planted, you know, because why should he leave the car, you know, with the idea, you know, I take another gun with me to kill him and put the guilt in his shoes, you know. I think it's a little bit taken too far away. But I can imagine, but I can understand where you're coming from, because there's so much happening in the past, you know. I can understand what you're thinking about it. But let me conclude why I came to the title, you know, the defund part. I think a lot of police should be defunded what the military equipment concerns. That's definitely one part which should be taken away. I don't know how the communities are with the financing of the police, in how far they are acting responsible. But in general, you know, the military thought must be taken away, the military stuff, you know. The destroy part, you got to destroy the racist roots within the police. And this takes a long journey, in my opinion, you know. That this means that before you hire someone for the police, you need to have a psychological treatment, you know, that he is checked, you know. His background should be also checked. It is the same like buying a weapon, you know. It's a weapon check, and this guy with a weapon should also be checked, you know, because it is the same, you know. Where is he coming from, you know? What is he standing for, you know? And all this stuff, you know. I think a psychological expose, or how do you call it, should be necessary to enter police in the first place.
I agree. I think in Israel, when you're being recruited for the military, they have mandatory psychological tests for any of the action troops, any of the people who are actually in combat troops, and it's far from perfect, obviously. But they don't even do that here in the police. They should have done. If Israel's military can do it, they should definitely do it here for the cops that are in constant conflict inside of civilian populations. They should know that the person is psychologically capable to withhold stress and to make split decisions and so forth, and they don't.
Yes, and this includes that this is not only checked one time when they're getting hired. This should be done regularly, because it can change over your work, over your job, because a policeman has a hard job to do. He has to go where normal people or ordinary people don't go. He's confronted with shit normal people don't see, on many levels. Even that demands that you have a character which allows to do this job, that you keep yourself under control, that you don't fall into racism, because you're confronted with maybe a lot of foreign people or people of a different color, and their problems. I think this is all connected together, and the rebuild part is, I think, a reform cannot work anymore. You cannot form a broken system in itself, in my opinion. It needs a complete reform, It needs the community itself who sits there and said, what do we need from our police? What is in favor for our community in it? What don't we do in the future? What do we have to change? It needs the complete community to set up the rules for the police, in my opinion. This is why I think it takes a reform to change anything. It might be naive, and I know this is no process which cannot be done within 1 or 2 years. It's a long process, but I don't see anything which could change it. Amos, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Okay, yeah. What else can we say? It's people are mourning. I saw the heartbreaking speech of DAUNTE WRIGHT's aunt, and I'm fed up with this shit, and I think you guys feel the same about it. Nobody wants to watch these horror anymore. And yeah. It needs a change, and I know where it's coming from. There's so much unwillingness, in politics to really come with a change. Yesterday we had another mass shooting. I think it was in Indianapolis, right? Another mass shooting. It's the same with the mass shootings. There's the same circle, there's coming one and then the next one, and everything between is mourning and forgetting and anger.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's my part. Oh no, let's go to the cartoons. Yeah.
Well,
this is exactly
it's the reality here.
We as white people who are doing this show, we cannot imagine how it must feel, to for me, when I get for me as a German, it is of course it is completely different, being approached by police, which rarely happens, thank God. But when I had no second, that I had the feeling I have to be afraid of the police here,
Mm-hmm.
And
and
being black in a car, at night, it gives you it's stress, it is also stress, which is not healthy,
But you made a good point. It's like a white viewer might look at that video we showed earlier, with the officer, being pepper sprayed in the face, and they're like, why isn't he complying? He's like making a point. Why isn't he complying? But you pointed out exactly. The point is that if he puts his hands away, that could be context for the police to shoot him, because they may say, well, he reached for a gun. We thought he reached for a gun or whatever. That was a mistake.
I felt threatened.
Yeah, so he knew that, and he refused to give them the context to do that. If they pepper sprayed him over this, they might as well just shoot him. So he knew all of that. That all went into his calculations. So that is the problem, and that's the difference in the perspective here.
Yeah, and the next one is exactly what's going on. A realtor, it takes 4 to 6 months, until he's in the job. A hairstylist takes 12 to 24 months, and a police officer 13 to 19 weeks. Guess who gets a gun when they graduate?
That's right.
Guess who? Yeah, and this is crazy. Police is such an important job, in my opinion. You cannot put bullies in this job. This job should afford to be highly trained and psychologically correct people in this. Yeah, which shots have been halted? Decide yourself.
Yep.
Yeah. So let's see in the comments. Jilly Love is raging. I love you, Jilly.
Yep.
All right. Let's get over to the big announcement of Joe Biden that the war in Afghanistan for the Americans is going to end.
Yeah, so Biden basically, though postponing Trump's timeline a little bit, did announce that he's going to pull all troops out of Afghanistan, no matter what, by September 11. And this comes after the peace talks have been halted. The Taliban is increasingly defiant of the ceasefire rules. They're basically not going along with any of the stuff that was set up during Trump's time, and this is the time where Biden says we're going to pull out. And I get the criticism of what has been the criticism of us staying. Are we going to stay indefinitely there? How have we improved the situation? The situation is a complete mess, and we're just sitting there and unable to do anything. On the other hand, we can't just leave. If we leave, it's going to immediately fall into the Taliban hands. It's going to look like the fall of Saigon, with the defeat and retreat, and a horrific massacre of whoever is left there and was known to have contacts with the U.S. military. It's going to be a mess. We know that from history, and we're repeating the same cycle. In 20 years, we'll probably be forced to go back in there once they pick which of the other terrorist factors they're going to continue partnering with, either ISIS or Al-Qaeda. So there's no surprise in that. I don't know why we would choose to do that. That's going to come at a much higher cost to figure back. What we do need, however, is I think that they need to reshuffle everything. They need to depose this government. They need to figure out how to make sure that there is fair and open elections, transparent elections, and that's. The irony of it is not lost on me that the U.S. that has so much controversy around its elections would be the one that would have to monitor that or bring it on. But I don't think there is another option. We have a part in maybe, if not breaking it, just not fixing it, and because of that, I think we owe the Afghani people to fix it. I think that they need to open the mandate, not just for the U.S. to be there, but and not NATO, which also said that they would pull the troops, but the UN. So that is really key here to have to reshuffle the entire system there. But I don't think we can just leave without it being a complete disaster.
Well, it's honestly, it would not be the first time, right?
It would not be the first time. Again, like I said, we're going through these cycles of this happening, and it's not. We're not learning from it, and I know that he's under pressure to pull the U.S. troops, both internally and on the other hand also because of the fact that we probably will need those troops elsewhere because the geopolitical situation in the world is not improving. We have other very significant enemies that are building up, and this whole thing may I mean, I understand that they won't consolidate power to wherever from places that are not directly necessary to the U.S., but it would be sad to see Afghanistan roll back into a brutal regime that suppresses women and so forth.
I think this cannot be prevented, if the troops leave. Look at the history, of Afghanistan. They forced many superpowers over centuries out of the country, and I'm in the first place. The question is, was it necessary to invade Afghanistan in the beginning? When I remember right, it was about the Taliban, and that they are hiding Osama bin Laden there somewhere in the caves.
Yeah,
and well, it is a little bit difficult, to talk about this, because I don't think that it was necessary at all to go to Afghanistan, because I'm lacking the imagination that someone who is sitting in a cave in Afghanistan can arrange the 9/11 attacks. But this is my private opinion on it. The other thing which moves me is what's going to happen with all the Afghanistan people who helped the West troops and others. What about the girls who at first time in their lives had the chance to visit a school, and all this stuff. It is a complete disaster. I can understand definitely why the US should leave the country, because they should not be in it in the first place. But they created now a situation. They created hopes for many people, and now they are leaving them to themselves, and you don't have to be a rocket scientist to know what next would follow. The moment the US leaves, the Taliban will take over, and it will be back to the status quo, which were known before. And it's a very difficult topic. On the other hand, how many lives did this unnecessary war or police action, or whatever you want to call this, take already, and how many could be expected in the future until it changed, and I think there's also not enough from the beginning, not enough effort, to truly truly move the Afghanistan politicians, in the right direction. I think everyone who was in charge there just was only happy with that the Taliban did not were defeated. It was, I remember back, I think wasn't it Trump who said the Taliban were defeated or something like this, and they're definitely
You said
not.
about
This
ISIS.
is bullshit.
You said that
But,
about ISIS.
Yeah. I think about
Yeah.
the Taliban also, but it's strange and it's crazy. And what about those helpers, who have to fear for their lives now? Do they get an asylum in the US? I think when the US left Saigon, they took thousands of translators and helpers into the US because leaving them there would be the death penalty.
It was there was a mess. It was a run on the helicopters. They were like landing, and people would try to cram in, and because they knew that might be the last chopper that leaves, and they didn't want to be left behind. I have a feeling that we're going to see some, even if they manage it better, we're going to see a lot of mayhem. And definitely the Taliban waiting for the last minute. Now here's the question: if the Taliban acts on this, knowing that Biden committed to leave at that time, and they exacerbate the situation, they may cause this administration to have to reverse. They may force this administration to have to reverse their pull. And so what the Taliban does in the next few months is going to be key to what happens. Now, the question is, can they help themselves? And the answer to that is, that's a good question. That's it's a good bet to make, because they've not been known for their moderate planning or their I don't know if they can help themselves. I think that there is a chance that they will botch it up. They will increase the attacks and then reverse this. But that is something that remains to be seen. On average, like about 3,000 to 4,000 people die, civilians die every year now at this point in this struggle.
Yeah, and of course, Gene, you're absolutely right. When you say we should not forget who supported the Taliban in the first place when they were at war with the Russian troops. It was the CIA, right? And,
yes.
We should not forget this. And this brings me to another point. Why this completely failed. And this does not address only only America. It addresses the complete democratic Western way of life. What in how far did we lead? What our values according to our values. We did not show in the last 20 years. I think there were not so many good arguments, for countries, for authoritarian countries, to go into democracy. That's the other part of it, and this concerns us all in the Western world, and it is very, very very difficult topic. I think it is in the end you won't win anything, with leaving the troops there. It would cost more and more lives, but at least what I hope is that America decides, at least to save those whose lives are threatened, the moment they are leaving, and this is and anything else, there are so many opportunities missed. It's tragic. It's tragic for the people, but I don't have any solution.
Well, I think the solution is to completely restart everything and just turn our back to the Afghani government. They've not been a good partner, and just try to bring civilians on board. It's a country that sadly is like divided to various warlords with power, to the Taliban that has power, and these people they don't get that what they're doing is destructive, but eventually some system can be devised where they become partners to improve their form of governing, and that's the only thing, in my opinion, that can turn things around. But till then, that's just pulling the troops is definitely not the solution, and staying indefinitely and continuing what we've been doing is obviously also not the situation, because it's like this, the definition of insanity, repeating what you know doesn't work and keep doing it.
Yeah. Well, and regarding the chat, well, guys, I only can repeat myself. We are having here an open discussion, we are about perspectives, points of views, and I think there are, in some parts they are different, but you cannot say that that Amos is not a progressive thinking man. This is not something I share with you, and let's share different perspectives on things, and think it over, and let's not stick in a bubble, All right, yeah.
We have a bunch of cartoons here referring to this, so let's just run through them. Some of them are not new, some of them are, but they fit the situation. Here's Afghanistan quagmire, and the Statue of Liberty is like snorkeling there. It says, after 20 years Biden wants me out, but I'm so close to finding the drain hole. And US to leave Afghanistan, we're counting the minutes, and we know the Taliban is. And here's the U.S. comes in down battered from the hills of Afghanistan, and all the past warriors are cheering it on.
This is exactly what I said. Look, it goes Genghis Khan, Alexander the Great, Hagar the Terrible,
Hagar the Terrible.
The Russian bear, yeah.
We're
laughing about it. The situation is nothing to laugh at. It has so much tragedy.
True.
It doesn't matter what you do. You're doing the wrong,
Yeah. And here's our troops trying our best to stay on top of things.
Yeah.
And here's what we bring to Afghanistan, and then that's democracy, security, drug control, and equal rights. And we're failing on all counts.
This is exactly what I said when I was talking about what role did we transport, in planting democracy. What is the role of it, And you see it, democracy, the elections, security. How many people were killed with drones? I even not dare to imagine this. The drug control. Are you kidding me? And equal rights. Wasn't it? I don't know. It was Afghanistan a couple of weeks ago. The people got pardoned by Trump. Who were killing people in Iran or Afghanistan. Civilians, equal rights,
right.
Democracy.
Nowhere to be found.
No.
And here's the U.S. In Afghanistan that can't go back or forth.
Yeah.
That's very. And here's all the previous nations on the rocks left marks, and who's to say they won't learn to love us if we stick around 2 more years?
And again, I gotta interrupt. And again, Gene is right. He says the truth is the wars is not about values; they're about resources, greed, and power. Period. Absolutely right.
And it's going to be difficult to convince them otherwise, because Trump has clearly said that he wanted the oil of Afghanistan. So now go tell them that it's not about the oil. Here's the Afghanis rebuilding Afghanistan, and they're using the bricks to bounce off the Americans' heads. Here's a good one. The Taliban plan. So what is the plan for when the Americans leave Afghanistan? First, we kill everyone.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, that's sadly the case. And here's we're good if you're good. And that was when they were signing a peace treaty. Since then, the Taliban has like reneged on just about anything on that peace treaty because they can. And that's unfortunate. And here's
well,
another.
not every of those cartoon is really funny, but it covers
Right.
what political cartoonists feel about this.
Right. And here's the U.S. saying, now that you can stand on your own 2 feet, which is obviously not the case.
Yeah.
And the last one.
Yeah, this is a good one. Conflict, division, and violence. It will be good to leave Afghanistan and return home. Where's the conflict? Division and violence? Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Difficult topic. We're coming to something funny. Is it funny?
I said a little lighter, but that's a funny thing to say about Iraq.
Well, it was. I think it was in a Hollywood celebrity magazine where the people were asked, how would they vote for, and I think it was about 46%, would be willing to give the vote to Dwayne Johnson, formerly known as The Rock, professional wrestler, and obviously, from what I know, from what we see, he seems to be a nice guy, and but if let's go into the article first. The professional wrestler turned star actor Dwayne The Rock Johnson said on Monday that he would run for U.S. president if he felt that he had enough support from Americans. I do have the goal to unite our country, and I also feel that if this is what the people want, then I will do that, Johnson said when asked about his presidential ambitions in an interview broadcast on the Today Show on Monday. Well, it later turns out the ex-wrestler did not say which party he would represent or when he might launch any bid for the White House. His remarks follow an online public opinion poll released last week that found some 46% of Americans would consider voting for Johnson. So, 46% voting for Johnson. For what? What does he stand for? He's not even given a hint when he would candidate, for which party he would candidate. There's nothing. And 46% say, okay, because he says he would candidate, we would vote for him. And this is exactly, why would you vote for him? He has no political agenda yet, or an idea. I'm asking myself, where does the support come from? For us in Germany, it is absolutely outlandish. I could not think of of a movie actor here in Germany or a musician, who would honestly consider, to throw its head in the ring to run for chancellor here. Apart from this, the system are working differently also, but I cannot understand why people are so fascinated by celebs who came to a certain wealth and saying I would do this, and 46% don't seem to ask, okay, what do you want to do, what do you have in mind? Well, Amos, what do you think about it?
It's not anything new with the U.S. Celebrity cults are like they've been there. Ronald Reagan was an actor. That's part of, but it's kind of ridiculous to think that in this dire situation you would take somebody who has absolutely no experience as and no political experience than to play one on TV or in a movie. I can't explain this. This is just the most bizarre thing because there's just nothing that prepares him to be president.
Yeah, exactly. And I would like to ask you, and I would also like to ask the chat, if we are living in such a crazy world where no politicians exist and the only celebs you could vote for president are musicians or actors. So question goes to chat and to Amos. Who would you vote for? Who would you pick as president from the celebrities?
You want us to answer now, or you want us to answer
Yes,
in a little bit?
maybe you can put now the Jeopardy music theme, and we're waiting a bit. No, I'm kidding. Just drop it in chat, and maybe Amos, you can tell me right now.
Well, I would think probably Bruce Springsteen or someone like that. But
right.
yeah, I don't know.
All right, okay. Maybe I would try to revitalize George Carlin. You know? Or someone. I would cast my vote to someone who doesn't like it in the first place. You know, who doesn't want to be powerful.
Yes.
You know, and
Well, who?
I have no certain other name in mind. You know, I think George Carlin, revitalized would be a great pick. Jon Stewart, yeah, good one, yeah.
Jon Stewart, yeah, maybe
an actor I always liked, yeah.
Or what's his name? God, I can't think of his name. Anyway,
okay, God
comedian
should be busy
too.
at this for this.
Yeah.
All right, who we have here? Oh, Jimmy Dore. Oh, this would be an interesting pick. But I think Jimmy Dore would never take this, you know, because I think Jimmy Dore is absolutely aware that he would be absolutely terrible as a president, you know, which would even count for me. I would be a terrible president. I think we are not the temperate guys for this office. But I love the idea, Jilly. So Jill before said Jill Stein. I don't think so. No, Jill Stein. I think there was not too. She is flying too much under the radar. You know, I don't know why. What the Greens are there. All right, Justin Jackson, another pick.
And she's a politician, Jill Stein. So.
She's a politician. Yeah. All right. Maybe she mixed it with Janet Jackson. Haha. On the other hand, Rose says Jimmy Dore would be better than any Democrat or Republican in there. He's right again. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, let's go to the corruption part of the show. You know, let's talk about Sinema Manchin. You know,
what would be no joke without a little bit of corruption?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Send your bribes to. Doesn't matter. Yes, it is not surprising at all, you know, but I think we should talk about it a bit, you know. Sinema and Joe Manchin, you know, Joe Manchin seems to be the factual leader of the Democratic Party in these days, you know, and opposing the $15 minimum wage. You know, the filibuster is also in questions, you know, what him concerns. You know, but why are they doing all this shit? You know, they should be according the line, etc. You know, and well, what we are learning is week after voting to kill a $15 minimum wage, Senators Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin will headline the national conference of the restaurant lobbying group that led the battle to block the wage increase and that is fighting a separate democratic measure to make it easier for workers to form unions. Both lawmakers have also recently raked in campaign cash from corporate interests that have been fighting a minimum wage increase. Oh, how surprising, right, Amos? You know, and it's the same thing. You know, they are doing the job for the people who are paying them. And Sinema and Manchin will join disgraced former Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel next week in speeches at a conference held by the National Restaurant Association, NRA. This is, yeah, the NRA, you know. According to the conference agenda, the NRA has been aggressively lobbying against Democrats' proposed minimum wage hike and labor legislation. Yeah. Both senators are also opposing calls for Democrats to eliminate the filibuster, a stand that will likely block Democrats' landmark labor reform legislation, the Protecting the Right to Organize (PRO) Act, that would make it easier for workers to form unions. So you can see there, you know, I don't have to go on, you know. You can see they are doing everything to get the peoples away from union groups, from building unions, to live to get a decent, livable minimum wage. And they are strictly following the orders of those who pay them. And if you go to the last one, this section, Sinema recently received donations from political action committees for Barnes and Thornburg, Cozen O'Connor, and Steptoe and Johnson, 3 law firms that advertise their services, helping corporations halt union drives among workers. The same is with Manchin. Manchin's 8th largest collective source of campaign cash has been donors from Steptoe and Johnson, and it goes on and on. It is always the same, And well, I'm asking myself, why are the progressive Dems within the party tolerating this? Why are they not deciding, what Joe Manchin can as a single man? Why we can't do it as a bloc for our own policies? I will never get it, but what we are seeing here is why they are acting the way they are acting and why they're voting the way they are voting. Amos, anything to add?
That's pretty much that's it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, definitely. NRA. This is cool. All right.
And we're coming to our shortcuts, and there you're welcome to join. I'm posting the. Let me know if you see the link in the chat. That's our Zoom link. So basically, you can click on that, and you'll be joining us here. And
link is there.
You see the link?
The link is there.
Okay, good. All right. So meanwhile, we can start with the shortcuts. So first story is that the if you haven't noticed in the news, the Supreme Court issue has come up, and both in the House and the Senate, they're proposing legislation. Democrats are proposing legislation to increase the number of jurors to 13. Is that the lucky number? I don't know, but I don't think. Well, this is not going to go anywhere, at least until any the filibuster is reformed. I'm not even sure if even after it would, but at least those things are in place, and I'm not sure that Biden would act on it, even if they wanted to. He may just sidestep the whole thing, and not at all convinced that increasing the numbers is like a long-term solution. I think other solutions that have been discussed are perhaps better ways to address the issue. But nevertheless, this is something that's happening in the news, and there's something else that was interesting. I discovered a new nation. Not new. I discovered, to me, it's new. Kiribati, and that is a few islands in the Pacific Ocean that they're expected to be the first victims to fall under climate change. They're going to be the first that would be wiped out by raising sea levels. And they're already trying to get refugee status. That's come up to the court, the international court, and the court has decided that they do qualify as climate refugees, because you can't return these people to a place where their lives are endangered, and claiming otherwise is insane. And here's a little video about this nation that I've not have you heard of Kiribati?
Not yet, but I had a short glimpse into the video before.
Here we go.
Bayari itu katanya yang Defund entah dikin ngabungin sus ada Tony P kita ni apa kita kaki abusin tar nakon tayo kanaro ngasih ando.
For me as a Kiribati, the only thing that I want is to save Kiribati. It's not just about being alive and have a place to stay. No, it's about a country and a people called Kiribati people. We will continue to fight until there is no breath in us. These are the issues that Kiribati people are facing right now. First one is water. Long droughts and no water to drink, and places where the water has been contaminated by sea surge or rain, too much rain or flooding. So we implemented water tanks. We've also been helping with the coastal erosion. We've been planting mangroves and helping the people to understand why mangroves are important and why they shouldn't be taking sand from the seashores.
The community guy, Narakawayu, Yarata Guatemala, and I'm going to Melotona Bukinka. The one the Toka did at it, and I can't be taking it on the boom. The Toa Magay, the Katabuangai, and Agin, the Tano Majata Magdana. And food security, we've been telling people, go back to your Kiribati traditional crops. Return to your land and grow food.
By putting apa, kinaya di kain, dorong.
If climate change is going to take away my sovereignty as a country, as a people, then everyone that is part of Kiribati and part of these countries that are facing the problems today, we will continue to fight. We're going to speak, we will continue to advocate, we will continue to shout and scream until they say, yes, we can do something, we can come to a binding agreement.
So the status is the moment they've purchased a large amount of land. There's about 100,000 of them. They purchased land in Fiji, where they're going to be moving their entire population to. However, they don't have statehood, so they're going to be held down to the Fijian their laws and so forth, and have no legal status, and that's a problem. And to say the least, their culture is probably going to go away. The land that they have is on hilly sides. They will not be able to do the things that they have done for livelihood in their islands, and it's unclear how they're gonna even live.
It is seeing the 8-year-old girl, hoping, that she can stay there because she has got their friends there. Well, if you remember back the report we had last week here, about the Pine Island glacier, and scientists say we have to expect a global sea level rise about 3 meters. You can imagine how this area would look like. And
And that's something that can happen.
Planting mangroves and stuff, is not more than a desperate attempt, to prevent what's maybe unpreventable anymore, and it's heartbreaking to see.
And if ice sheets like that fall into the ocean, it's an immediate sea rise. So they would be it would be a death sentence. There's no way that they could survive that, or that anybody could move such an amount of population in one time. So it's heartbreaking. It's terrible. I remember in 2000 I went to independent Samoa. There was a politician there by the name of Latagaloa Pita that was concerned with the sea rise level, and he invited us. I was part of a organization that was working on a global people's assembly, which would be kind of like a body that would encompass the entire world, and on a regional basis rather than a national state basis, and try to affect change that way. So he invited us for a stay there, and I won't forget the experience of Samoa's islands and how they were like. I saw how the water was eating away and getting closer and closer inland, and that was in 2000. I can't even imagine where they're now. But it's like, to them it's as real as you looking at the weather for tomorrow, whether there's going to be rain or not. It's happening.
Yeah, exactly. And Jilly Love banning fossil fuels and wars instantly, and slow sea level rise. But do you really want to cancel our capitalistic culture, Jilly? Haha. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is heartbreaking, as I said, and when we really can expect 3 meters global sea level rise, I don't have the fantasy to imagine what this means for all of us. I don't have it. It means a complete disaster.
Right. Absolutely. Not to mention food and so forth, food production. And here's another thing that was interesting, because there's a lot of naysayers that are saying, well, the global climate change may be bad in one way, but it actually is good in another, and it all on its own it balances itself out, because some places have better produce or production and others less. Here they did research on that, and they determined there's only a handful, 5 countries that have their production, their crops increased. So there's a place, you could see the dark blue is 15% increase. The brown, all the way to the dark brown, is minus 50% of produce for these countries. Most of the world is actually seeing a decline in food production and not an increase. So
look at the upper part of Africa.
Yeah,
look at that.
Africa is completely screwed. North America is completely screwed. Even the U.S. is not doing that great, but not as bad as some of Central Africa. That's for sure. Central Africa and Central America are seeing the brunt of this climate change.
Yeah. It's terrible. Yeah. Let's come to another terrible guy. It's not Steve Hofstetter, of course, but he has got a very, very nice take on Matt Gaetz. And Steve Hofstetter, he's a stand-up comedian. He's also called the Heckler Killer, and he's a pretty cool guy, and I like him very much. And let's hear what he has to talk about, what he has to say about Matt Gaetz.
Hey, isn't Matt Gaetz that congressman from Florida that's currently being investigated for sex trafficking a minor? Yes, he is. And here's the story. Matt Gaetz is the Republican that represents Florida's District 1, made up predominantly by Pensacola, Fort Walton Beach, and Destin, and other places that make their money by being trashed by spring breakers. District 1 is the most Republican district in Florida, and the 15th most Republican in the country. And Matt Gaetz is what would happen if District 1 were a person. That's especially true because the northern part of it is pretty empty. First, Gaetz' backstory that will be probably skipped over by the eventual movie starring Dean Cain and Kevin Sorbo. Gaetz is an outsider who ran for office to change Washington. Kidding! Matt Gaetz is the son of a politician. Who was the son of a politician. Matt Gaetz is so entrenched in the swamp that he was born in one. Before Gaetz ran for office, he got a DUI, but due to his political connections, the charges were tossed. It's unfair to say that Matt Gaetz is District 1 as a person. If District 1 had sex with Pensacola spring break, that would be Matt Gaetz. Gaetz first ran for a position as a state rep when he donated $100,000 to his own campaign. That is more money than any of the other candidates raised in total. In other words, Gaetz bought his first seat. Not coming from a particularly rich family, it was odd that a man in his 20s had that much money to donate to his own campaign for a local office that pays $30,000 a year. Remember that one. It's gonna come up later. Once Gaetz was elected, he tried to use his powers to eliminate environmental protection, execute prisoners faster, and argue on behalf of George Zimmerman, because of course he did. Oh, and Gaetz was just one of 2 members of Florida's House of Representatives that tried to prevent making revenge porn a crime. Remember that one. It's gonna come up later. In 2016, Gaetz ran for Congress. Despite a filed net worth of $388,000, he inexplicably donated $200,000 to his own campaign. No one knows exactly where Gaetz got that kind of cash, but I'm sure it was totally legitimate and not something that you should remember because it's gonna come up later. Once Gaetz won his congressional seat, he was a nightmare. Ready? Here goes. Gaetz invited a prominent Holocaust denier to be his guest at the State of the Union speech, and then denied the guy was a Holocaust denier. Gaetz crowdsourced a resolution for the House Judiciary Committee from an alt-right subreddit, including wild allegations that Jim Comey had leaked information to a reporter, who would have been just 10 years old at the time. Gaetz threatened a federal witness via Twitter, which led to investigations by the House Ethics Committee and the Florida Bar. But wait, it gets worse. Gaetz organized other congressmen to storm a lockdown government facility, and they were all dumb enough to bring their cell phones, which compromised the facility's security. Gaetz repeatedly peddled racist COVID conspiracy theory, wore a gas mask to a House debate on funds to combat the pandemic, and openly flouted state COVID regulations while traveling. And Gaetz publicly encouraged vigilante violence against BLM protesters. But it gets even worse. Matt Gaetz has been investigated by ethics committees for so much. Everything from his sweetheart deal on office rent, to installing a TV studio in his father's home, to spending taxpayer money on speechwriters, to ditching votes so he could attend CPAC. The most ridiculous part of that is that Matt Gaetz pays speechwriters. The garbage he says is written by professionals. Yuck. And most notably, Gaetz was a vocal supporter of the January 6th Stop the Steal event, the one that led to terrorism at the Capitol and 5 deaths. 5 deaths. Gaetz was a supporter until afterwards, when he baselessly claimed that facial recognition had identified the terrorists as Antifa, despite there being no such proof, and despite 100% of the people arrested having a long and documented history of being Trump supporters. Simply put, Matt Gaetz sucks. But none of that is what this video is about. This video is about Matt Gaetz being investigated for statutory rape and sex trafficking of a minor. Yeah, that makes that dumb gas mask look pretty quaint in comparison. Here are the facts. Joel Greenberg is a close associate of Gaetz, and the Republican former tax collector of Seminole County, Florida. He was also indicted last year on charges of sex trafficking, after using a sugar daddy website to pay for travel for women he had sex with. Oh, and also make them fake IDs. For a party-pushing voter ID, some Republicans don't care if people are who they say they are. Greenberg's indictment led to his good buddy Gaetz being investigated for having sex with a teenager, and for transporting her across state lines. And that is what this is about. We won't get into Greenberg's racist posts, using public funds to buy weapons, funneling millions of dollars in taxpayer money to his friends, or accidentally setting a government building on fire with the servers he purchased for a cryptocurrency that he created, because of course he did. We are just focused on the statutory rape and sex trafficking charges. All of that other horrible stuff that Greenberg and Gaetz did doesn't make the sex trafficking and statutory rape charges true, but it does make them pretty believable. You know what else makes them believable? That the G-men used Apple Pay, Cash App, and Venmo. Oh my God, they're dumb. There's another thing that makes this particularly believable. In 2017, the House voted on a bill against human trafficking, and in a rare nonpartisan vote, every Democrat and every Republican voted for the bill, except Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz was the one congressman who voted against a bill that would try to end human trafficking. What reason could he possibly have? Gates said it was because he didn't want to create more government oversight, which is strange because he normally supports big government oversight when it comes to immigration. So it seems that Gates is against immigration, unless that immigrant has a very specific set of skills. As more details of the investigation are becoming public, we are learning more about Gates, like the blanket pardon he allegedly asked for from Donald Trump, and that Gates has been accused of showing nude photos of women he had sex with on the House floor. Remember Gates' vote against the revenge porn bill? So do I. Now you might say we shouldn't believe any of this because this is clearly a partisan investigation. And you could say that if you're stupid and don't know things. While this investigation became public recently, it began last year, under former President Donald Trump's Department of Justice. As this investigation goes forward, there are many questions to answer. Did Matt Gaetz have sex with a minor? Was the money that Matt Gaetz sent to that minor via Apple Pay, Cash App, and Venmo for sex? Was that money for traveling across state lines to have sex? Where did the giant amount of money that he donated to his own campaign come from? And most importantly, who will be District 1's next representative? Because I'll bet $10 it will not be Matt Gaetz. You can Venmo me, but what do I know? I should stick to comedy. If you enjoyed this video, check out my latest Stick to Comedy video right here. Subscribe to my YouTube channel here, and check out my live streams here. You can join my Patreon at patreon.com/Steve Hofstetter, and see my live touring schedule on my website, stevehofstetter.com. Thanks for watching.
Yep, you should.
Yeah. That's Steve, yeah. I like him. Well, I cannot... Who votes for this guy? You know, I don't know. I don't have... You know, I don't have enough fantasy for this, you know. But Amos, you know, looking at the chat, you know, it seems that a good portion of our viewers are willing, you know, to kill the sacred cow of capitalism. You know, it seems there are communists here. What's going on here?
I don't see the chat, by the way, since when I got disconnected, it froze the chat, so I can't see any.
They're wondering, you know, if they should sacrifice capitalism in order to save the planet, you know, and well, what do they intend to do?
Well, we can have a whole discussion about that, but guys, if you want to, you can still come on here.
Yeah.
I think people are camera shy, but there's no reason to be. We're gonna go through some cartoons and discuss them as well.
Yeah, please join us. Yeah, the smoking gun. That
should have been in the section for about the cops.
No, I didn't want to overload it, you know, so I put some in the end.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Before you can vote, I'll need to see an ID, and before you work this precinct, I need to see your vaccine passport. Your partisan politics are stepping on my rights. Yeah. I
love those elephant cartoons.
Yeah.
Stop! You're trying to bully and intimidate me because they're showing him his in the mirror.
Yeah, I like the next one because this is exactly how I feel. Want to know what Trump said about McConnell and Dr. Fauci? Not really.
Yet we still can't leave him alone with regards to humor. Still own ya, says Trump to the poor elephant that is forced to hold his the ball for him on his trunk. I wonder how good Trump is as a golfer. He would probably miss a couple of times.
He is, as a golfer, he's great because from what I know is people who were golfing with him say about him that he's cheating, you know, so he only can win.
Somebody throwing the ball close to the hole behind a bush.
Yeah, the new rules.
Yeah.
The GOP-approved ballot box.
Yikes.
Drop your arm in there.
Yeah. And here's the blood clots issue. Guns are not so much of an issue. No. And the vaccination that has like one in what is it? A few cases, 6 in 6 million or something like that.
Yeah.
And here's Godzilla and King Kong are going to die.
It's a new movie, I guess. You know.
Yes.
It's Godzilla versus King Kong versus coronavirus. You know?
Yep.
Fools should have gotten vaccinated when they had their chance.
Yep. And here's Gates sticking to Trump. Talking of which, I just wanted to recommend you guys a movie that I just saw yesterday. It's on Netflix, maybe on some other platforms. It's a documentary, amazing movie called My Octopus Teacher.
And John told me about it. Yeah. It must
fantastic
be
movie. Just like I cried.
Yeah, John also told me this is heartbreaking.
But it's you know, it's about nature. It's really amazing movie. The things that you have never seen. I highly recommend it, and the narrator is like quite amazing as well. So that shark just reminded me of it.
And just to have mentioned it, I yesterday watched Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
What's that?
Guys who know this movie knows this movie. It's a kind of horror movie, but not taken so seriously.
I see.
Yeah. Anyone around, Amos?
No, nobody.
Anyone?
Oh, hold on a second. Maybe there's
someone.
Maybe there's someone here. Let's see.
At least we can see a socket and a cable.
All right.
Who's there? Where are you?
Okay. GF. Hey,
GF.
Can we hear you?
I don't
think your mic is on.
Do we have a little bit more light? Maybe would be cool.
Maybe more light, and the microphone is muted for some reason.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, unless he's not talking, which is a possibility, but all right.
So, okay.
Well, maybe that will work. That whatever technical.
So, GF, we will try this out for next week, or maybe you can talk right now. I saw you unmuted yourself. Can it be?
Oh,
please talk. No, we have no audio yet. But we would like to invite you for next week. You know, we would arrange it a little bit before the show, if you want to. We gotta wait a bit until he hears it.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll do that.
All right.
You want to tell us about the outro?
Yes. We had at least we have an outro video we can play. You know, it's allowed for reuse. It's an American-German band, and I guess I told you the story. If not, I will repeat it again. I know this band from the mid-'80s when they were touring at my club, and they are doing a kind of Western country music, but with unusual lyrics, if you want. So, you know, one of their big hits at that time in the 80s was Nancy and Ronnie Are Fucking in the White House, and they have a little bit cynical, ironical approach to different topics, you know, and they made a new version of Let's Kill Each Other, which is I think also from the 80s era, and it's, in this case, it is the Corona version, and I hope you guys like it. It's, in my opinion, it's a great band. They are now for 30 years with interruptions around, and yeah, I hope, as I said, I hope you like it, and you enjoyed the show for today, and thank you all for watching, for the great discussion you had in chat. And I don't know that we always agree with opinions, but I think this is exactly what we want. You know, we want to show different perspectives on topics, and well, and hope that we get something essential out of it for us and of course for you, for our viewers.
And
anything to add?
Yeah, don't forget to share us on social media, that we always appreciate. And that's it. I hope you have a great week to come. And we'll see you next week.
Yes, definitely. Have a great weekend and stay safe. I hope everyone is getting vaccinated from you. And, have a good one and see you next week.
Bye.
And let's kill each other.
I've got blue eyes, yours are grey. Let's kill each other. I've got the past, but who had the future? Let's kill each other. I am black and you are white. Sing, let's kill each other. I am left and you are right. Come on, let's kill each other.